don't even know if I'm going to that's like the night. Well, how old is the boy? So that's what is this like high school? So it's so it's going to be like, obviously, yeah. Which means that any issues that are in-laws have with it. Was there some different? The she's already on marriage because of the following something like because that's just legal. So it's oh, 100%. So I mean, if it's probably going to go to court, if it was on the and then is going on mother-in-law is almost 100% right. Legal function. What kind of compensation do they get? Like, is she not included? You know, I think it's really like walking and then I think it's still kind of quiet and talk to that deal. Like, you're going to dedicate my life to getting compensation for that. Yeah. So, it's different from like, just, you know, well, yeah, they shouldn't be trying. And then you could say there's responsibility that the family member to not allow it. But probably years, yeah, there's a depends on that. And it's going to cost you. Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking when you said it. It was a long list. Yeah, because it's still a lot. And you look at it, Oh, you call it the yeah, of course. So yeah, no, saying that I broke up with like with with Tom, and then got picking into another question, considering like I didn't, I I implied that I had it with them, but it's just a thing that's it's one salary, but and that. And told what's the thing? I told Margo that she. I don't. I don't know how much he like talks to the other people. He's like, that's the problem that I was talking to people from Australia and then someone I think I was wrong. Yeah, I don't remember what specifically what I said. So, but, no, no, no. Oh my god. And then like, yeah, well, and then I mean, Eduardo asked me what words he was like, what he was like, and I was like, I don't know. Yeah, I haven't really I think she had a house. She had a house, you know, back there. Yeah, so pretty. So, balance. Yeah, I guess. Technically, not that I am not choosing. Actually, I figured out how to make it better. Oh, it's pretty easy. It does take me like 5 minutes. Maybe one. Follow me. I'm just gonna hold on for that. I was gonna do it today, but that's what I'll not helpful. So, the photo was hanging out in the window and watching that. A lot of it was like good actually. Yeah. One of them had the looks like hopefully you do that. Oh no, more oh, that's how they set it up. You know? But, yes. The dog. Oh my god. They made up. The whole romance drama. Yeah. So they can't drink from the water. There's water. So close. You got to talk. You got to figure out where they're going with them. They're going through everywhere. And then they'll just take it out. So, that's what I wanted. Then this one's eating. What's it like? Wrong with church. Yeah, you need someone back. Yeah, that's if you had known, you should have just made the shot. So you got home. That's their thing. I want to kind of now that it's just the stuff I have to try to see that. I'm gonna make a long term. That's what somebody I don't know. Yeah. College didn't come on as that on it is today. I'm 30 years old. So she was, oh my God. Paranoid. Yeah, whatever. Tell me, this is not all the way. They're not finding out about it. Because if Jessica's still asking, what do you do? Because the license the parents called the school and she's like, that's all she's calling. Oh, because the parents called the school. And then the police officer. Oh, nice. Oh, one game. See, I told you after the parents called, you didn't want them to show up. Someone in school is good. And it's like, why are you supposed to do it? If you yourself are one, are still having a good time, and if everyone is making money, then you kind of take it as something problems. And they get all the business. If she does, she probably does care, but it's, at that point, it's like, you know, kind of admitting it's a lost cause and not a, yeah, but that's actually, but then once next is like school, it's different, but then it's different. Oh, that's, a lot of the issues in general, we have, I mean, the normal, is the, neurotypical, and something, more often than, and then, especially, you guys talk about that, because they don't have this, they could get, just no thoughts. Uh, because show them now, people, of course, if I were to go to school, yeah, oh, yeah, also, they don't want to. And it sounds like you could probably definitely the guy, I think she's the guy that because it's mostly those and that, if that was, oh, that's the way it is. John was, you know, it was like he has like again, that's the thing. Um, there's that guy we have to do it and the flash on it. Audio. He's like twice my size. He's going very hard. But he's very calm. Only when but I'm sure they're all good. And, it's cool. He's just I don't know how yeah, he has this so fun. He's like a family with and then he's like in the genre classes and shit. Yeah, you want it, or they play that fucking real modulation and so he's just like he's walking on he's helping this teacher. He's like a teaching assistant with it. Yeah, that's like such a competition. Well, who's from it? You know, like this with yeah, this turkey. It's so nice. Yeah, she's been buying all the stuff and she's getting paid out of mileage for this. And, yeah, and she doesn't have a get them. She just always it's just really yeah, because I sub for an honest this would be and even when I was in this ideal classroom, it was doing a list of kids. And then I would ask the teacher before class, and she'd be like, "Oh, yeah, this kid next." I was like, so it's so easy to come and yeah, I have other kids for 5 minutes, and then just and move on. And he was really good. And you have teachers too. And you can always call it out that from the actual class. Right? So you have so much leeway. But then you like, wow, what the heck? And she's full time with the benefits. That's just one circulator, you know. I think Following on she's just kind of I mean, there's always like, I just think you can deal with some items. Oh, that's like, uh, 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 it's the whole industry, you don't know how to do it. Oh, yeah, it's, yeah, and when I first started this job, everyone was telling me that she felt she should, even the principal said, like, you should do volunteer stuff. I love that. That sounds fun. I know it's just like a no, it's like, yeah, I don't think that's actually a lot. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, yeah. Oh, well, that's more. I think you have yeah. All right, hello everybody. Champ Scanty Gaming here. Today we are going to make origami, little origami birds here. Yeah. Oops.
Yeah, can't really. It's juxtaposed with my sweater here. Yeah. Um, yeah. So make origami birds. I've been tasked with making a whole bunch of these. It's for a party or something that's gonna go on. So I make a bunch of these. That's my first one. I made that earlier today. I am going to do so. The goal is the goal is 50 by the end of this week. But today I'm probably just gonna do today I'm probably just gonna do I don't know. We'll do like maybe 20 today, just because it's 3 o'clock right now. I'll probably go 3 to I don't know, 3 to 5. Sounds good. 3 to 5. Yeah. Sorry that I was AFK for a while. I had to is it pretty? I was taking care of some stuff. So yeah. Anyway, for everyone, first time seeing this is my face reveal. Oh boy, face reveal. How exciting. Everyone, the world gets to see what Shrimp Scampi Gaming looks like. Yeah, so. Yeah, so I'm going to be making little cranes. Got a little paper right here. So I've made paper cranes before, but I'm going to move this out of the way. I actually don't have too much space here. Let me make sure that I think the camera is, or not the camera, but anyway, I hope audio is coming out of the microphone here. So, hopefully it is. Otherwise, you guys can't hear me. All right, so gonna make little origamis. So I watched the video this morning. I've made these before, and obviously, this one I made today. I've made these before, but not that many of them. Cranes. I like origami. Origami is very nice. It's the Japanese side to it, or whatever. But cranes are, because you think origami, you think the crane, you think the bird, right? That's typically what it is. But yeah, but it's kind of my least favorite thing to make. I mean, I like how it turns out. It looks fine. It looks like a crane. I like how it turns out, but just what am I saying? Yeah, I don't like making it for some reason. There's all these little steps. You kind of cheat in the middle of it. Like you just kind of bend the paper and hope that it comes out right or whatever. Okay. I'm trying to think of what to do. Oh yeah, I haven't been If you guys want to follow along, that's totally fine. I forgot the first steps. Okay. I have the video up here. So basically, okay, you're supposed to fold the paper, triangle, triangle, and then open up afterwards, and then hot dog open, and then hot dog the other way. And then like there's this really specific fold that you gotta do after. Oops. Okay. So this is the fold. So you take this, right, and it's on the ground here, and you're supposed to I can't do this. You're supposed to take like you're supposed to make like overlap the square on square, and then go like this. It's hard to show like on the camera what exactly I'm doing, but so this is going to be a very bad follow along video right here. Okay, I think. Okay, so you go like this. You kind of undo like half the triangle or whatever, and then you go like that. And then you put it down, and you go like this. So you do that, and voila. Voila, now you have something like this. So it opens up and whatnot. So yeah. Okay, so you do that. That's the first magic trick. You know, without following like a specific like tutorial video, these are like if you just look up a picture of it, then these are like really hard to like conceptualize, you know. Okay, so you kind of you fold it like this to kind of make it like a kite. No, honestly, I guess it'd be better if I had like a top-down view of this, but see, you kind of fold, you take the corner and you fold it like like towards the center. You match it with like the center line here. I used to do origami with my students. I would have like we would have like cooking days in class or like arts and crafts or whatever. So like my art project, normally I would go with origami, and I wouldn't teach them something like as hard as a crane, but I would make like you can make a box, and the box, it's like each piece of paper is like it's like there's the bottom part of the box and then the top part, and you kind of like slot them together. Like the top part is slightly bigger than the bottom, so you can always do that. And then I would teach them how to do that. Or I taught them how to make like the fortune tellers, you know, the ones that like you put in your hand and then you kind of go out like that. So that yeah, what's the next thing is I made this like a couple hours ago, so I'm already forgetting. Oh, okay, so you made it like a kite, and then you're supposed to open it up the folds again, the ones that you just did. And then here's the second magic trick, right? You you pop up, you open one of the flaps here, and then you kind of bend it so that it's like sort of like this. And then boom. That's the other magic trick. So if you look up like a picture of this online, it's not gonna be, you're not gonna, or it's gonna go from this to this, and they're gonna be like, oh, just do a crane fold or whatever. They'll give it some fancy name. You don't know how to do that. I had to watch the video on like how specifically they were making the move. So honestly, if you guys want to actually like do this with me, just go watch a tutorial video on it. If you look up how to make origami crane, I watched the second video. It's like a 5-minute one, but that's if you guys want to make it. If you just want to sit here and watch me make it and watch me make these and listen to me talk, then no worries. I'm making these for like a purpose, so I gotta make a bunch of these. But you guys can do it for fun or whatever. Okay, so you do it to both sides, and you have this. And then I believe if you open up one of these, then kind of pop. Okay, so this is the third magic trick. Is you have it like this, right? And you go to the side, open up one of the ends, and then you're going to take this bottom tail and kind of fold it all the way up here. Close it, and then kind of bend it down, I think. Let me make sure I'm doing this right. Oh. They wanted you to fold it like this first. I guess it makes it easier. So you do that kite towards the center, fold again. Boom. And then boom, just like that. All right. Then you're going to open one side up. I'm pretty sure after these folds, they open them up again. Let me just double check. Okay, no, so the folds are in the middle. They open up one of the sides here. Yeah, they open up one of the sides here, and then they go up, they bend it up, and then they sort of bend it like that. Then they do the same with the other side. They bend it up, fold it in. I made my folds too big. Keep one of the tails up, and then you can actually fold it in like this. It becomes a little crane, and then you fold down the wings kind of like this. So yeah. And then boom, look at that, you have a little crane. Look at that. I can't, this video is so hard to follow along too. I'll bet just, yeah. But yeah, there's a little crane. Look at that. It's a little crane. All right. Another one. I'll probably make like 10 with this paper before I move on. So yeah, I think I got the process nailed down. So that would be good. Or so it should be a little easier. Yeah, got it. So you start off like this. A lot of origami, they have you fold it like every which way here, like this in the beginning, and then they have you do this like square fold where, when I say square, I really mean diamond. It's like one of these shapes. They go on there, and then you kind of like you fold it in. And then back out. There's no way that you guys can actually follow along to this. Yeah. Fold these in. And voila, just like that. All right, cool. You got that. They want you to do the kite shape. So I don't think I ever taught my students how to make a crane. This was definitely going to be too complicated, but one time during summer school, like they would have like free period. So we would do a bunch of origami, and they'd be like, "Oh, teach me how to do." The students would come up to me and they'd be like, "Oh, teach me how to do a fox or a bear or whatever," right? And I got like, so like this is one of the foxes that we did. So it's just basically that whole square thing I taught you guys about. You pop up the back of it, so the back's kind of like that. You pop up the two for ears, and then you just draw on it. And it's like a little fox. I looked up like easy origami for kids when they were requesting that. So, yeah, that was definitely. And then I would pick something easy. Like kids would come up to me with like different ideas, and I would look them all up, and then I'd pick the easiest one. I forgot what to do with this step. Oh yeah, you unfold the kite. That's right, and then you pop it. Origami is one of those like Japanese things, you know, obviously because the word origami is Japanese. But what I saw or what I discovered with origami is that the Japanese actually like they have, or the ones who are good at origami, they have this mindset where they can kind of figure out, like they imagine something in their head and they can figure out like, okay, how do I do that? Right? How do I fold the piece of paper so that it can turn out like that? So, because I was during summer school one year, I was the other aide was this Japanese lady. It's a very old person, but so I started doing origami with the kids, and then she joined in, and then she started showing the kids how to do origami, which it was nice because she actually knew how to do everything, whereas I was just looking stuff up. And it was fun, but basically, like I think we were doing, think one of the kids wanted a snake, so I was like, okay, you know, snake would be easy. So I looked up, and you have there's like the picture on there. Like you go to Google Images, how to origami snake for kids, and then you know it's like that, and then it shows the picture, like the step by step of how to do it, and it's one of those where it's like it's 10 steps, like step 5 to 6, just like completely transforms the whole thing, right? It's like this stupid little mountain fold that I'm doing, and I got stuck, right? And so it's a guy in his early 20s, and I get stuck on a kid's origami tutorial. So I went up to the other aide, the Japanese lady, and I was like, hey, how do I do this? You know, look at this step, and I'm here, you know, I'm at step 5 and it wants me to go to step 6, and I don't understand it, right? And so she actually she was like, okay, you know, I've never done a snake before, but then she didn't even look at the instructions. She just took the little sheet of, or she tried it herself. She got to my where I was stuck at originally, and then she actually I saw her. She sat there and she thought about like, oh, what, you know, how would I progress next, and then she actually ended up doing it. She actually ended up, oh, wouldn't it work if we did it this way? And then she did it, and it's like without even looking at the instructions, she just like she like figured out how to do it in her head. And then I was like, oh wow, you figured it out. It's very smart of you, or whatever, right? And she's like, yeah, it's our Japanese intelligence, you know, help me out or whatever. And so like I thought that was cool because you have kind of like, so people like her have the sort of mindset to be able to figure this stuff out artistically, and I figure that's what artists do as well. So like she did that with origami, right? And I figured the kind of Japanese people who came up with like how to make the crane and whatnot, because how would you know to do all this stuff, right? It's very easy to copy someone, but it's very hard to like come up with something on your own. There, got another one. Hopefully I've memorized the instructions now, so I'll try not to refer to the video. I'm gonna putting these guys over here. But yeah, so yeah, so like the Japanese people who figure this stuff out, they had the sort of mind for that, right? They had the sort of mindset for that. But then whatchamacallit. Like I figure artists have the same sort of mindset for creating art. You know, it's whatever kind of art you're good at. You sort of have the mind to do it. You're really good at it. People who are really good at it just, you know, obviously they work really hard, but they sort of have the ability to like see artistically, right? To be able to determine like, okay, if I wanted this result, this is what I would use or whatever, right? And then, you know, you think about like Bob Ross paintings. He has the ability to see like what effects certain things will have or whatever, and what affects certain paintings or certain like layers or shading or whatnot will have. And I think that's very interesting. I think it's very cool to be able to see like that sort of thing. And the same applies with like any kind of skill, like storytelling, which I'm, you know, like writing stories and stuff, which I, you know, heavily get into or whatever. It's like I can see in other people's stories like the setup, you know, how the author sets things up, how they develop the characters, what kind of direction they want to go in and whatnot, because there's not necessarily a formula to it, but there's definitely like a way of doing things that'll get you a good result. And I can see people doing that I can see people doing that, and then I can be like, oh, this is the kind of result they want or whatever, right? So yeah, but I've always been fascinated by artists, people who can come up with stuff like this, like origami, or people who can just draw pictures really well. It's like it's fascinating, and it is definitely something like you enjoy doing, and you do have a mind for it. You do have a kind of like a talent for it or whatever. It's like, you know, if someone's good at math, then they're going to be interested, you know, doing math or whatever, right? And learning more about math because they're good at it. And I think it's the same with like with an artistic mindset as well. Like you're going to enjoy it. And I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who have, you know, the sort of artistic mindset, but they're not doing anything with it, which is totally fine. I mean, you don't actually, if you're good at something, you don't have to do it. I don't believe I'm good at math, right? I was like the top scoring math student, like throughout my 13 years of schooling or whatever, but I didn't do anything with it, right? Because I didn't want to, right? It's not, right? I was born with a talent, but you know, there's no need to. And like I'll crunch numbers on the side and stuff whenever I need something convenient, right? Like if I want to figure out like tax for something, or if I want to figure out like interest percentages or whatever on loans and whatnot, adult stuff, then I'll do it. And I can do it in my head really quickly, and I enjoy doing stuff like that. But it's not like I'm not going to want to do that for a living. I'm not going to want to do that 8 hours a day. You know, blah, because it's just not, because I just don't want to, right? And there's no shame in that, right? Just because you're good at art doesn't mean you have to, you know, paint 8 hours a day or draw 8 hours a day or whatever. It doesn't mean you have to make a DeviantArt and open up commissions or whatever, right? Or if you do something like that, you can just do like an hour, or you could, you know, take a Saturday and draw like a full picture, and you know, and then, you know, not, and then finish the picture and then not draw anything for like the next month, right? It doesn't matter. You don't need to go at any specific pace. If it's something you enjoy doing, then you don't need to go at a specific pace, right? You do it when you want to, right? Because with jobs, you gotta do it, right? Or like school, you gotta do it, and there's a deadline and whatnot, right? Might as well, like, if you got that going on, obviously people don't like school, people don't like working or whatever. Like they might like doing it once they're there, but no one likes like deadlines, and no one likes having to do homework and stuff like that. So it's, even if you enjoy other aspects of it. But I think that putting pressure on you to complete something kind of takes away the enjoyment of the activity. So that's just my 2 cents. You know, if you like doing something, don't put pressure on yourself to finish it. You don't need to do it today. You don't need to, do it or whatever, right? Obviously, like if you got to get something done, you got to get something done, right? But don't stress out about it. Don't like, think the whole world is against you or whatever. Because it's you, right? It's you doing it. So, if you want to do it, you want to do it, right? And sometimes I get that like certain things take, oh, you want to do it, but you don't have the motivation, right? Especially these days where it's so easy to like boot up a YouTube video or to, you know, play a quick match of, I don't know, a multiplayer game like Splatoon or something. And it's so easy to just do that instead of doing like more of a long commitment, sort of activity. But it's, like you can dedicate yourself to something for a day or whatever, keep up that motivation. And I think being able to like, if you can lose yourself in doing it, like if you can stay like really focused and really like into it, like really immersed, I guess, if you can stay like that, then it's cool. It's fine, right? Like that means that you're enjoying doing it and it was worth it to do it, right? If you can fully immerse yourself into something long term, then it was worth doing. And long term doesn't need to be like a year or a month or even a week. Just like a day. Like you wake up, you force yourself to do it, and then 8 hours flies by. Like that's the best, and you didn't notice because you were so immersed. Like that's the best part of things, right? I think life is really enjoyable when you can do something like that because it sort of gives you this satisfaction of like, hey, I did something I liked today, right? Instead of having I folded that. Instead of having to endlessly look for instead of endlessly looking for like little bite-sized pieces of entertainment, right? Because some people don't have that. Some people can't get passionate about anything. I don't know, it's kind of sad. But I feel like I'm falling into that trap recently where I'm bored all the time or whatever. But then I find that one game that I like, and it's and things become enjoyable again. So, and then not things, but you know, I'm able to just immerse all my time into that or whatever. I may have done 3. I'm getting like, yeah, I'm getting like one done every 3 minutes. Pretty good pace. I think I should have 20 within the hour. When did I start? Wait, no. don't know. Maybe I'll time myself on the next one. This part is really tricky. I've actually worked with two Japanese people before at my last job. One for summer school, that's that origami lady that I was talking about, and then another one. It was my first year. Yeah, my first year working. She was another older Japanese lady, married, had a couple kids, that sort of thing. She acted pretty much the same. She was a little more modest, polite, or whatever. She's like the main person who would like get frustrated when a kid wouldn't get stuff or whatever. It's like she didn't have the patience for that sort of thing or whatever. She was just a substitute. I worked with her for several months because she was a long-term sub. Because one of our aides, one of the previous aide had not tricked, but she instigated a behavior in one of the kids. And she instigated a behavior in one of the kids. And then the kid like smacked her, like hit her arm with his fist. It's like a third grader, right? But then she exaggerated the injury. She timed it to where the teacher was in the bathroom. The kids were supposed to be watching a film, but this aide wouldn't let this one kid watch the film as a punishment or something. So she trapped him in a corner of the room, which is illegal. And then the kid wanted to watch, but she was blocking his view with her body. And so she's a bigger person. And so he started freaking out. He started screaming, crying, and he was hitting her like this, and she was blocking with her arm. And so this isn't the Japanese lady, by the way. But yeah. And the teacher was out during the incident, so she couldn't supervise. And I think this aide timed it like that because the aide was absent for the night after that whole thing where like he was hitting her arm. She was absent she was out of work for a week. And then she came back with a cast on, a cast in like a sling. So she was holding her arm like that. And she used that as an excuse of, oh, I can't write. I can't, do a lot of my duties or whatever. And so, when did that? Right. And so that she used that as an excuse to get out of work. She showed up for like one day with a cast in her arm and whatnot. And then she sued the school district for putting her in a position to where she got a work-related injury, and she sued them to get workman's compensation for that, so for her injury. And so she was on paid leave for like months after that while her arm healed or whatever. So because she didn't want to work. She was trying to get out of it. I think her husband was on disability benefits, and they had like the Section 8 housing or whatever, like the free government housing. So she didn't want to work either. She just wanted to stay home all the time. So sounds like a pretty comfy position, but the amount of trouble that she caused everyone else in order to get there was ridiculous. Like it was pretty bad because she was out. She left the position vacant. which means that I was the only classroom aide, right? And that classroom needed multiple people in there. And so I had to help out like tremendously. I had to fill in her shoes. And then we got that substitute. We got a substitute for her long term, which was the Japanese lady. So who wasn't really that patient with the kids. But yeah, that was a whole mess. So, and the thing is, it was my first year working there too. This was like maybe a half a year after I started. So I didn't know what was going on, right? You know, I didn't understand. All right, 16 minutes. See how fast I can do this one? Yeah, I didn't understand, like, you know, what she was doing or how, like, bad it was she was trapping this kid or whatever. I didn't even know what the kid had done. Well, I knew he wasn't doing his work. But I didn't understand, like, the lead up to it. I didn't understand that it was illegal, that she was doing this, you know, sort of thing. So I never, like, I was the only other witness, right, besides the kids, obviously. But I never, like, testified with or against her or anything. Like, they didn't really drag me into it. So I know my teacher got blamed for that because she was in the bathroom and they didn't like the fact that, you know, oh, why wasn't she supervising the kids or whatever? But the teacher herself had like medical problems. So she was like this old lady. She retired the next year, actually. So it was a wild ride. So that classroom that I was in, because I got transferred in there, because I started off in a different school, but then my student moved, so like moved out of the state, so they transferred me to that class because I guess she lost her aide, and so me and that that girl who did that were put in that classroom, and so obviously that girl left because she got injured and she was on workman's comp, taking advantage of that. And then the substitute happened, and then most of the and then after that year, you know, the first aide never came back. And then like half my class graduated, so they went. This was elementary school, by the way, so they went out to middle school. And meanwhile, I stayed in that class. They didn't need the sub anymore, so because it was a smaller class size, I think we only had like 6 kids after that. Because half the class was 5th graders, they all left, and then a couple of the 4th graders left. So then we were left with like 5 or 6 kids afterwards. So, but yeah, there was a one-on-one aide in that class, and his student went to private school, so he left. And then he became like a real estate agent. So I was on pretty good terms with him. And then the teacher retired that year. She retired in the middle of the year because the district had been putting pressure on her to retire. She was pretty old. So retirement age is like 63. I think she was like 68 when she retired. So she was like in her late 60s. And so they were pressuring her to retire because she had very old fashioned methods, right? You can imagine being a teacher for 40 years, right? The program changes. You know, imagine, you know, how were they doing special ed back in the 70s, right? That's where she came from. And so the district was full of new people, and so they didn't like her old methods of teaching. And so they were really pressuring her to get out, and they were blaming her for every little incident. They were using her as a scapegoat. And so she just said, F it, I'll quit. So she resigned, but she resigned in Thanksgiving, right? And obviously, everyone knows schools, right? That's not the end of the year, right? That's like 2 months in. So she resigned in Thanksgiving, and then the class was screwed because now there's not a teacher, right? And so the district had to scramble doing interviews, and they had to get a substitute teacher in there who didn't know what was going on, because this substitute teacher she was brand new. She just came out of college, never worked a job before, right? And now she has this, now she's a substitute for a special ed class, right? Which is a hard task in and of itself, no matter how experienced you are. So basically I was doing everything, because I was coming up with the lessons, I was organizing all the work for the kids, I was figuring out activities for them to do, I was making the schedules, I was doing all this stuff for the class, for like the 5 or 6 kids who were still there, because the substitute had no idea what to do, right? It's not technically her classroom because she's a substitute teacher. So I was pretty much in charge of that classroom for a good month, because you think about Thanksgiving to Christmas, right? There's a good month. And then right before Christmas break, they hired okay, so I looked at the time, it was 1:16 when I started on the live stream, and now it's 1:22 live on the live stream. So each origami takes me about 6 minutes, which means I can do 10 an hour. I'm gonna try to do 10 here before I quit. But yeah, I hope you guys are liking my work stories. I'm not naming names or doing anything like that, so it should be fine. And this is all like years ago that this stuff happened, so obviously I'm not even at that job anymore. So none of the people who I'm involved, or who I'm talking about, are even looking at the school district anymore. So these are just work stories. But so I was in that class, I was basically the person who ran the class or whatever for that good month or so, and then we got the new teacher, and then I worked under that new teacher. She was fresh out of college too, but she had like a better grasp on like how to do things, what she wanted to do with the classroom, stuff like that. So that was good. And then everything changed. We actually lost the student who was the one-on-one. So she went to a private school. So that's great. So now there weren't any, and then we got a couple of new students. So there weren't really any problems. So the teacher got like a fresh slate coming into the classroom. So she spent like her winter break preparing lesson plans and stuff. So yeah, and then I worked with her so the rest of that year was a half a year. And then I worked with her for so the rest of that year was half a year. Then the next year we got a batch of 3rd graders. And then those 3rd graders became 5th graders. And then by the time when I left the school site, they graduated 5th grade. So you're talking about, so I was with her for the half a year, and then 1, 2, 3 years. Yeah. And then I was in that classroom for a year and a half. So yeah, I was in that classroom for 5 years. I survived, because the thing is that new teacher, after 3 years of working with her, she left because she got a better deal at a district that was closer to home for her. So our school district had its problems, but I won't really get into that. But yeah, she got into a better school district closer to home. good for her. So she was still new enough to where she could get a transfer or whatever. And so that was good. And then I got transferred out of there. There was drama, and I knew that with like a new teacher, you know, I wouldn't like the change too much. So plus, I always wanted to work middle school, so I went to the middle school level, which I liked. So it was a lot different. So I'm glad I got to work that for the time that I'm glad I got to experience that, I guess. Yep. And then everybody wanted me to lose my job, and so I lost my job. So the thing was, at the elementary school, we got a new aide who was trash talking me behind my back, and she basically wanted me to lose my job over there, because she was blaming me for everything to the teacher behind my back. So that's why I transferred out of there. And I get to my new position. All the coworkers are nice, but then, you know, but then the police, and then it's the parents too that contacted the school and said like, "Oh, we're gonna make him lose his job or whatever," right? And then they made me lose my job. What we do? So now I'm not working that job anymore. So I get to, yeah, I don't get that anymore, but it's all right. I'm actually not too beat up about it, honestly, even though I keep bringing it up. I'm not too beat up about it. Change is good, and I wasn't going to work in special education forever. So, like, I wasn't going to retire off that job or anything. It had its bad days, so I didn't really want to be susceptible to that. I wanted something that would stimulate me more intellectually. So, systems to figure out and all that stuff. So I'll find that. I want to experience different things, is what I'm saying. So work at a grocery store or a warehouse or things like that, right? The kind of jobs that I don't need a degree for. But every job is a system, and you are a piece of that system. And so how I work is I figure out the system. What's the system trying to accomplish? What is a need? What do the people need help with? Why was I hired? Right? What role am I filling? Right? And this first job, working at the school, was very ambiguous, meaning that it was very it's very up in the air, like, what am I supposed to do, right? Because a teacher wouldn't give me commands like a boss would, do this or do that or whatever. It was literally just, my job was just help out. And so I had to figure out myself, what do I help out with, right? What can I do to help out? And then I had to look at my coworkers, and I had to look at like other people to see like, okay, what are they doing to help out? What can I do to help out? And it took me a while, but I mean, it took me like, a good half a year or whatever, but I figured it out. I figured out what I could help out with, and I figured out how the system works. I figured out what each teacher wanted, what they needed, right? And so that I could do things without them asking me to. And the thing is, I liked that too, because I guess, I don't know. I like knowing that I'm appreciated. That's kind of my number one thing. So when when I do something, right, I'll tell them. I'll go to the teacher. I'll be like, hey, I just finished this. I thought it might help, and they'll be like, oh, thank you, Tyler. And I'll be like, cool, or I'll think like, it's great, I like that. I feel like I've done something to help. That's the whole reason, because and that's the thing. At my last position before I quit, they they always told me how much they appreciated me. And that I was doing good work, and then they were really sad to see me go and whatnot. So I left on a good note, I guess. So I because it feels like I've actually done a purpose or whatever, right? I wasn't just standing around doing nothing. So that's nice. And I guess you could say that's a little conceited of me to think that way, right? Oh, he needs validation or whatever, right? But I don't beg for it, right? If I work my butt off and then someone else gets praise for like a little thing and I don't, I'll get a little bitter over that. But, it's not the end of the world, It's just because I'm not doing it for other people only, right? I'm doing it for myself too. I like when things work out. And if I'm by myself, I'm my own boss, then I still appreciate a job well done. If I have my philosophy, because I don't necessarily like working or whatever, but I don't love working, right? But I if I have to be there, I might as well do a good job, right? If I have to do a job, I might as well do it right. I might as well do it the best that I can because I'm there anyway. You might as well. You see people doing a half-ass job and then sitting around for the rest of the time, and it's like, what? Like, aren't you bored? Like, don't you feel kind of crummy, seeing that and being like, oh, um, seeing that like the work's not being done and being like, oh, so I'd feel bad about it, right? Here I am, I'm here anyway, I'm being paid for this, and the work is half-assed or the work isn't that great or whatever. It's like, I don't know. There's jobs are weird. You think about like human society, and you think about like how everybody functions and whatnot, and it's like we need all these people in order to survive, doing jobs and whatnot. So, what do you want to do to help out your community? And it's fine. And you lose perspective of it because there's 500 million people in this country. But you think about like, you take a town of like 10 people, right? You think about a town of 10 people, right? Like, let's say you and like 9 people you're friends with, you all go out and live in the mountains, right? Build log cabins for each other and all this sort of stuff. Well, now you gotta live. Someone's got to grow the food. Someone's got to herd the animals. Someone's got to maintain the houses. Someone's got to get fresh water every day, right? Make like 3 more of these. I'll move on to a different color. But yeah, you think about it like that, and it's oh, excuse me. I had half a Coca-Cola and 2 slices of cheese pizza today. So my stomach sickness is acting up. God, if I'm gonna go back to this. I'm gonna watch this recording again. If the microphone is coming out of my webcam and not this, then I am going to be so disappointed because I've talked so much just for it to not record. So yeah, but you think about like, 10 people, right? You and 9 other people. Make your own log cabins, make your own houses, whatever, right? And then you're good to go. So you're not good to go though, because you gotta survive. So someone's gotta farm, right? Tend to the farmlands, right? Grow fruits and vegetables. Someone's gotta get animals, right? Herd the animals. Someone's gotta butcher the animals, right? Collect the eggs, do all that. Someone's got to get the water. Someone's got to deliver the water to each location, right? Plants need water, animals need water, people need water, right? We need water to like bathe and to shower and stuff. So someone's got to build like showers. Someone's got to build like the pipelines to get the water if there's a nearby water source. Someone's got to maintain the houses. Someone's got to build improvements on the houses so that like life can be a little better, right? Like you're not going to make a log cabin 1 bedroom and then that you're fine, right? Someone's got to make beds. Someone's got to find like be able to make a mattress or whatever, right? Someone's got to upgrade those mattresses, right? You might be sleeping on the floor for first few nights. Someone's got to make clothes, right? Who's making the blankets? Who's making the clothes? Who's making the shoes? Right? That's a special skill. You got people doing that, so they're sewing. You got people fixing the clothes when they break or when they rip or whatever. You got someone needs to make the tools in order to farm. All this sort of stuff, right? Tasks need to be done. And so, you go out there and you get a job at like, I don't know, you get an office job, right? You don't feel like you're doing anything, right? You're like a call center, right? Imagine working in a call center and imagine working at a call center and you're taking calls all day, right? That's not a job that feels like you have a purpose, right? Oh, you're customer service or whatever, right? But without you, someone could have just waited an extra 10 minutes for one of your coworkers to pick up the phone instead. Like, and what are you doing? You're hearing people complain, right? It's not a job, right? Or like maybe you're doing Excel spreadsheets for like a company, right? Like you work at like, I don't know, a cubicle for like a medical facility, right? Or like medical insurance. And you discuss like insurance plans. Like who cares, right? Things like that don't feel like they have purpose because you don't understand the purpose. Because you look at the job from the outside you're applying to it and you're thinking like, why the hell would I want to work here other than to make money, right? It's silly, right? Especially something like starting your own company, right? We don't need more companies. Are you kidding me? There's so many companies, right? But basic things like agriculture, right? Making farms, raising animals to use for meat, things like that. It has a purpose, right? My job had a purpose. because, and the thing is, the purpose was right there, right? I didn't affect someone on the other side of the country. I wasn't shipping products. I wasn't, inventing new things. I wasn't serving food to a customer who I'm never going to see again, right? My job felt like it had more purpose, right? Obviously, everyone's job has the same purpose or has the same amount of purpose because we all put in the same amount of work. But my job felt like it had a really great purpose because I got to see it, right? I help out a kid today and they get it and they're able to complete the assignment and they get a good grade and their grades improve. You feel that like directly, and it makes it meaningful, right? And I knew going into work that day that I was going to help a student, a struggling student. I knew that, and I went in and I was able to do it, and it's like the purpose is right there, the fulfillment is right there, right? You feel the sense of like satisfaction, and they feel gratified, and they're grateful to you or whatever. So I loved my job because I directly affected someone's life over a long period of time, and they're improving, and I can help them improve more. That's why I like what I do or what I did. But even like, I mean, something I could be like a counselor for like college students, right? And and that would be, I'm changing someone's life. I'm helping them. That gives me purpose. That makes it worth it to go to work every day. Not freaking, working at Amazon and making sure someone gets their package, 2 days or whatever, right? Like I know I'm not making people's day. I might be making someone's day, but I guess there's no tangible result. I guess I don't feel the purpose or whatever. Helping the company, on the other hand, would give me like real purpose. I get to see, things progress. I get to see the system work. I get to improve the system, right? If I can improve the system upon the system, right? Be a manager and do it my way, or things like that. That would be satisfying, definitely. So I wouldn't like to run my own company, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. I'd like to help someone else's. I'd like to help someone else succeed. That's really where the fulfillment comes in. And if I can help them succeed every single day, then it's worth it to go to work every single day. That's what it is. That one took me like 12 minutes. God, I need to take my thing. It's getting hot. I opened my blinds today for some natural lighting. We had a power outage today, for like 4 hours, so that's why I got on late today. But yeah, apparently I can edit this video. I don't really want to, but I can cut out that first like 35 minutes that I was gone. I probably won't though. Just leave that in there. Got my little thumbnail of me holding the origami. But what did I name this episode? Let's make origami. So weird. So what I found out actually on YouTube is that I can live stream with their software. They'll just let me do it, right? I get my webcam, I make sure my right microphone is working, and then it's good to go. But if I want to do anything more advanced, I need software for it. But if I want to make videos, like actual videos, and upload them, like what the actual YouTubers do, I need to create it myself, not on YouTube. YouTube doesn't have any like native software, so I got to create a video, export it onto my computer, and then upload it. So, which is how it would normally work, but I just wish there was like an easier way to do it. More streamlined way, I guess. This is already pretty streamlined, right? Like I can stream off my PlayStation and it'll just pick on my mic. So that's nice. But yeah, I just wish like I could make a video. I wish I could do like this, like a live stream, but like just make it like separately on my own, which is what I did with the reading thing. Is I live streamed it, but I made it private, so like I'm the only one who can watch it. And then I was gonna go back and edit it and whatnot, but then I realized that I think I mentioned it yesterday. I realized that the microphone, it was the webcam microphone that it was picking up off on, so you could barely hear me. There's a lot of wind in the background. It's terrible. So I mean, it's me just sitting here with the book, but still it is. I mean, I guess I'll probably delete most of it. I'll leave the intro up. That's what I was going to do anyway, but what's today? Wednesday? Yeah, today's Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, excuse me. I should get like 12 of these done. My goal is 50 by the end of Saturday. So if I do 12 a day, then it should be fine. So I'll do 12 today. The reason why there's one purple crane here and not more than one is because for some reason we had one leftover purple piece of paper, but apparently purple's the favorite color. Oh, excuse me, I forgot what I'm doing this for. So I am one of the workers at my work. She's been there like 20 years. She's retiring. So, and then she's also moving. So they're having like a going away party, which I'm not going to, right? They had a little party at school, at the school when I was still working. So I went over there. I attended for like a half an hour or whatever, but it was kind of awkward. But yeah, they're having like this going away party on Sunday. So, and they like the origami cranes. So I figured I'll make a bunch, right? The Japanese doesn't play like a paper. The Japanese I guess not proverb, but like saying is that if you make 1,000 cranes, then your wish will come true. So sometimes, like if someone gets cancer, or if they're in a bad situation or whatever, then all the family members and the other people will come together, and they'll make a bunch of cranes together, a bunch of origami cranes, and they'll try to make 1,000 of them, right? If you get 1,000, like, you know, what, 10 people doing like 20 a day each, you know, it'll take a week. So, and then, you know, normally you hang them up. So they'll do it for weddings. Weddings is a pretty common one to do it for. So they'll do weddings, and then they'll hang up all, like a Japanese wedding. Sometimes they'll hang up like all these cranes, like on the rafters on the ceiling around the reception area of the wedding. So it'll look really pretty, and there'll be like different papers, different colors and stuff. And like, you know, obviously they're all imperfect, so they'll all look a little different from each other and whatnot. And you can point to the ones that you did and stuff, and so it's really nice. But yeah, 1,000 cranes, and you know, your wish for the wedding is that like, oh, they have a happy marriage, you know, stuff like that. So 1,000, right? It takes me on a good run, it takes me 6 minutes to do one of these. That is 6,000 minutes, which is 100 hours, which is 24, 48, 72, 96. Okay, if I worked 12 hours a day, which I'd go insane if I worked 12 hours a day, that's about nine days on a 12-hour shift. But I would have to be making these constantly, no breaks, right? If I'd take any breaks, that 6 minutes per crane goes up to like 9 or 10. And then, oh boy. I mean, probably give me a month. Well, I could do 1,000 of these, but it's such menial work. It's terrible. Right. This is my 10th one, and I'm going to have been streaming for over an hour. So, yeah. So I'll probably just stream doing this for the next couple of days. So, if it's all right with you guys, I know you guys don't get to see my gaming content, but yeah, as long as it's cool. And then I'll ramble about stuff, I don't know. So just because, you know, what they say is like, streamers love the sound of their own voice. Ha ha ha. No. I do like talking in this capacity, though. So it feels like I'm talking to an audience. Like I'm, you know, somebody's listening to me or whatever. And someone can go back in these videos and watch and like listen to what I'm saying. But so they like, the person I'm making these for, they like, obviously I'm not going to a party on Sunday. That would be silly. Plus it's all like my old coworkers and stuff are going to be there, and they're going to be asking me questions, so it's better that I don't go. But the person I'm making this for likes purple. One other color, I don't know what other color they like, but they also like Winnie the Pooh. So I got like Winnie the Pooh. There's also like Tigger and Piglet. Yeah, there's like I don't know if that's coming up. There's like Winnie the Pooh, there's Tigger, there's Piglet, there's another Winnie the Pooh, and then Yeah, there's Winnie the Pooh, but it's like a silhouette, so it's like all orange. It's like a dark orange. It's pretty. Yeah, and when I use these, I'll show. I'm probably gonna actually end up making all 30 of these after this batch. So probably not today. Right. What was my goal? 12 for today. I'll make 12 and then see how much farther. See, the thing about me is that here I go talking about myself. The thing about me is that whenever I have a long task ahead of me, I set little goals for myself. Like my goal with this is 50, right? Make 50 by the end, right? 50 is a good even number, very nice. But so my goal is to make 50 of them. So I'll make 12 a day, right? 12, and today's Wednesday, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, right? 4 days times 12 is 48. Got an extra one here, and I'll make one at the end. I don't care. But yeah, so I'll set the goal 12. The end goal is 50. So the day's goal is 12. So I'll stick through it for 12, right? 12's not that bad. It's gonna take me an hour, right? I get to stream, I get to talk, whatever. But yeah, but then I'll hit my goal, and then I get to decide my goal for the day, and then I get to decide, hey, do I want to do more, or do I want to get a break? And that's the thing. That's the nice thing, is that like I see an end, and I can choose to take the end or not. Because after 12, I might feel like doing more, right? I might do another one, and then another one, just because just one more, sort of mindset. Just one more crane. But if instead of that, 12, and then I'll do some extra if I feel like it, or I can stop, right? I can do that. But for if instead of 12 I said, okay, I'm gonna do 20, right? Then I feel like I'm forced to stay here for 20, and it no longer becomes like there's an end in sight. It becomes like, oh, I have to do more than whatever, right? And 12, I'm just like halfway done, right? So it's like, it's discouraging. Having too big of a goal is discouraging. So what I do is I set small goals, and then I set small goals, and then I can choose to go beyond that small goal, right? And it's very nice, very I wouldn't say cathartic. It's there's no pressure, right? Right. I was talking earlier about pressure and how like things aren't enjoyable when you're being pressured to do something. But this is pretty much just like a 12 is like let's make origami, right? Or let's do this activity, right? It's so it's not so it's not so bad. This is silly. So there's 100 of these, right? The basic like designs or whatever. There's only 30 of the Winnie the Pooh ones, but both of these cost the same amount of money, right? So they're charging more for the character, even though it's the same amount of like colored ink. They're still charging more money per piece for the cartoon character, which is it makes sense, but I still think it's kind of sick. Are these? Oh no. Okay. I thought these were cardboard. It's gonna kind of freak out. These are both center paper too. It's got like some sort of material. They're different. It's bizarre. Anyway, don't mind the weirdo who's smelling the origami paper. I don't know if you guys noticed in my game I was playing yesterday, I named my character Shrimpy. Because his shrimps can't be gaming. So. There we go. So I was going to do 2 of these. No pressure. Sorry, by the way, if you guys tuned into the stream and then there was the sea was empty. I had some things to do, but normally I like to start the stream and then just kind of not be there for a while in the beginning. That's sort of what I go for. So obviously you guys can leave and come back or whatever else. I don't know. Yeah, and then YouTube streams, I had forgotten. The YouTube, or because I'm logged in doing this on my computer, and I'm actually watching myself stream right now. I'm watching the video. One of the viewers is me. So it's like, because before I used to watch my stream I used to have my stream running on my laptop just to make sure it was going fine. So yeah, I really hope the mic is picking up the sound this time, because I am going to cry if it is not. Might as well actually check that right now. Let's see here. I know there's a little delay, so. Let's see here. I know there's a little delay. So. All right, cool. It's working. Ooh, I'm gonna get a. They're gonna be like, oh, is that Shrimp Scampy Gaming? Oh my gosh, I love that guy. Wow, you watch his videos too? Oh my gosh. My videos get a few views. It's not like I'm talking to a void or anything. I'm talking to human beings. Yeah, people watch me. I was watching a podcast earlier, and they were talking about how sometimes they like to watch like small streamers, like people who only have a couple of viewers, just every once in a while. And it's like, because I don't know, for laughs or for, just to see like some good content or whatever. And I was thinking like, shoot, people do that. I know I'm trying to make it big here on YouTube with my inconsistent streams, but shoot, people are gonna be watching me because I see that number of like how many viewers, and I forget like, oh, there's a person watching me or whatever. So it's like a real human being doing this. So he's actually like spending their time watching me or whatever, right? It's the same sort of thing I get at work. It's like, why would, because there's a little like confidence issues there. It's like, why would somebody want to watch me? Why would somebody want me to do the work and not someone else, right? Like, someone else could do a better job. So why am I the one, why am I being trusted with this, right? Why, oh God, I have to do something artistic, or I have to do something like that could be screwed up or whatever. Like someone's relying on me, that's, oh no. So when I first got it, I think it looks nice, like a little blue. It's got like Winnie the Pooh kind of on it. Yeah, you can sort of see. But yeah, when I was first, because when I started working, or before I started working, I had that same confidence level of like, I'm being given, I don't want to work because I'm being given responsibilities, and people are going to rely on me to do things correctly. That's, I can't imagine that. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of weight on my shoulders. And it goes back to that whole pressure thing. I don't like pressure. That's the thing. When you talk about like pressure, like in a video game, like very tense situation, it's like, yeah, sure, there's a lot of pressure, but I can die and I can start over again, right? And sure, I'll have lost. Maybe sometimes I'll lose like the time that it took me to get to that point. I'll have to redo everything, and it'll be like a half an hour. But the only person who suffers when I fail in a video game is me. And so I'm not letting anyone else down. I don't mind letting myself down. That's fine, because I can start over. I can do it again, right? Or it shows like a limit to my capabilities. I'm accepting of that. I'm okay with that. But it's like, I don't want to affect other people. I don't want to negatively affect other people. That's sort of what it is. And that creates this extra layer of pressure on me to like, you got to do this correctly. And you got to do it right the first time. And, any mistakes, any redos, is just going to waste people's time. It's like, I don't want that kind of pressure. Like that's so much. So that was the anxiety I had when I first went into getting my job. And people relied on me to do things, and I didn't know what to do. Like my very first job, I didn't know what to do, right? And then people were, my superior was criticizing me. She's like, you gotta do something, and then people were talking about me behind my back, and they were like, oh, he doesn't really do much. He just stands around, does nothing, and things like that. It was like, and that put me in such a very uncomfortable position, but I was still employed. I was still working. And so I was still going in every day. So I had to figure it out. And thankfully with my job, I got enough time to get comfortable with it. I didn't get a training period, but I got enough time to get comfortable with my job and with the environment and whatnot. So that was a blessing. But yeah, it also helped that I moved positions 2 months in. So. But yeah, but I remember the first like month of my job more than I remember the remaining 6 years that I worked, because it was because of the amount of stress that was and pressure that was put on me every day. And every day I would come home and I would feel like quitting because it was like I don't feel like I'm doing this right. I feel like I'm letting people down, right? I feel like I'm failing, and I'm failing others. That's what it is. I myself can fail, and I'll stand back up again. I've done that in life, but failing others is just the disappointment doesn't leave. When you fail someone else, they remember it. You might not remember your own failures, but other people will remember you as the one who failed. It's like, I mean, obviously you can succeed the next time and you can be good and people will be like, oh yeah, he was growing or whatever, right? As a person, that's fine. If you're fucking a teenager, but when you're like, especially me, because I'm, people looked at me and they were like, oh, he's, he's young, he has potential, things like that, which was good. But that's why I was let off the hook. But if I go get a job now, or if I go get a job, and I'm like 38 years old and I screw up, then it's like, dude, come on. You're old. You're too old for this. It's like I'm too old to like not know what to do or whatever. That's kind of what scares me. So it's not. Here we go. See, look, there's my 12. I made 10 of the flower ones and 2 of the poos. But I think I'll just keep going. I don't care. Finish the stack. This is a stack of 8, so I have 6 left. I don't know. That way I'll have done 18. But yeah, it all comes back to that pressure, right? And the pressure of working, the pressure of having to do something, and you're not allowed to take breaks, you're not allowed to fail, you're not allowed to, otherwise you'll be disappointing others. People shake their head at you and say you're such a disappointment. It kills me. It really does. And I don't know why. I think that's why I prefer to be like a loner. I prefer to like I don't want anyone to expect anything of me because then I can't disappoint them. That sounds so like anime character development, the character flaw or whatever. But it's true. It's like I don't want to affect other people, so that's why this whole thing that's going on with me with like the law and everything, it is affecting other people. And it's not only affecting, if it was just affecting me, I'd be fine with it. But it's Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Excuse me. Baracho. Being sick. I don't know. My stomach sickness is weird because I stopped eating and drinking like a couple hours ago, but it's still. Well, I'm glad my mic's been working this whole time. Because that would have been a waste of like an hour and a half. And me just talking to nothing again. So, just like with my whole reading thing. So. Oh yeah, I was gonna read. That's right. With my webcam for this, because I'm actually doing something on the desk here, I put it like it's right in front of my TV. So like I got like my chair, my desk, then there's a space, and then there's the TV there. So on my TV stand right in front of the TV, I mounted up my webcam just in the center here. So yeah, but yeah, it's in the center, and then it's like projecting this view. But when I read my book, which I'll definitely do, I'll probably just do it on stream. It's fine. This was easy enough to set up. When I do read my book, I will I'll bring the webcam and the stand closer. I'll put it on my actual desk so it's closer to the book's gonna be like right here from me, so it'll be closer and it'll be more of a zoomed in shot because I don't want you guys seeing like my dirty room back here. It's gross. It's terrible. I've been cleaning. I've been cleaning every once in a while, but things are just kind of like scattered all over the place. So it's I still have like a clean floor and everything, and I'm keeping everything down good. But I'm gonna finish this one. I wanted to do two more, but first, Jesus, 4:50 already. Oh, time flies. That's what happens when I don't wake up. That early. This one's a little longer than the rest of them. But yeah, I'll show you guys. Where is it? So one thing I should know is that I have a lot of cats. So what I've done is I have this cat cage. It's called a cat catio or whatever, right? And so I finally put it outside, and I put the cats in it. So if you could see here, I don't know if this is showing up too good, but yeah, look, they got Kiki up here, and there's Kiwi, and then there's Yoko over here. You can't really see her, you can't see her face, but yeah, so it's them, and then just trying to get yeah, and then this was from so that was last night, and this is from today. I got it's Pinky and Kiwi, so they're hanging out there on the same spot on on the cat. Yeah, there's three layers to it, and they have to, and they're just like scrunched up like on the same layer. So like Kiwi's being pushed back or whatever, because Kiki's kind of or not Kiki, yeah. Pinky's kind of like freaking out there. So she was like going all over the place. So Kiwi and Kiki like it, but Yoko doesn't. So whenever I put her in there, she like just tries to get out constantly. So yeah. Oh yeah, this was let me see, how do I turn auto rotate? So yeah, this is I made a baked ziti. It's delicious. It's It's pasta, like the ZB pasta, like the long tubes, the long straight tubes of pasta. I put in like 2 full bags of Parmesan cheese, a jar of tomato sauce, and then I actually had some sliced sausages. I bought like the good quality sausages from the store, and then I sliced them up and then I fried them on the grill and or on the stove, and then I added them and then I cooked the pasta and added all this stuff and then I baked it. I cooked everything, but then I baked it in the oven for like 20 minutes or so, and I had sprinkled a layer of cheese on top. That's why it's all like kind of like a dark golden brown on the top, is because I put like half a bag, or I put like 1.5 bags of cheese inside the sausage and pasta mixed it all up, poured it in the pan, and then I put the rest of the half bag of cheese on top to layer it, and then I threw it in the oven, and it came out so good. Oh my gosh, so it's just cheesy. It's got that like that gooey. It's got that crisp cheese on the top, and that gives it that crunch. But then the pasta is nice and soft. You got these big chunks of sauce of like cooked sausage between every bite. It's delicious. You could either eat it with the pasta or by itself, or whenever you're feeling like you need some meat flavor with in between pasta bites. And then the cheese was all gooey and stuff. Oh, you picked it up and it was like gooey. It like rose up. It's so good. Oh my gosh, it's delicious. The only problem is that a pan like this it's a 13 by 9 pan, so probably like this wide. It cost me like $12 to make from the grocery store. Of course, I have food stamps, so they don't. So it's not that bad. Or so obviously it didn't cost me anything, but you know, yeah, it is still expensive, or it's still kind of pricey, but it's still delicious. It's really good. So that could feed one person for like a whole day, or it would be a really good meal for like three or four people. I could see splitting that between 4 people and all 4 people getting full. So it's delicious. But yeah, that's basically what I do in the house. I'm cooking more now. Tonight, I'm gonna make not tonight. Tomorrow night, I'm gonna make beef bulgogi. It's like this thin strips of beef, but I marinate it in this mixture. So I'm gonna make the mixture tonight, and I'm gonna make the mixture, and then soak all of the beef in it, and get like layer every single piece of beef, and I'm gonna just dump all the beef in there, let it soak, and then throw it in a Ziploc bag. I'm gonna put it in my fridge and then let it soak in that marinade overnight, and then I'm gonna take it out tomorrow, and then I'm gonna throw it all on the stove and fry it. So it's gonna be delicious. I'm gonna have it over rice. It's super flavorful. It's a sweet marinade because what I do is I mix chili paste with ginger, and I have an Asian pear, which Asian pears are very sweet and they're very juicy. So I juice an Asian pear, mix it in with the chili sauce, the ginger, and like soy sauce, and then and then I soak the meat in it, and then I just let that meat soak. All that marinade just gets into the uncooked meat. It just soaks it to the core, and it ends up the meat. You can still taste the flavor of the meat, but then it has that meaty flavor, but it's also sweet. Oh, it's delicious. Oh my gosh. So the flavor of the meat itself is very strong. So you have it with white rice, and it is such a good. It's like the pinnacle of Asian food. So it's delicious. Every time I make it, it's such a hit. I love it. So I'm going to be marinating it tonight. Gonna cook it tomorrow. You're gonna do that overnight. Cook it tomorrow. All that good stuff. So, yeah, I don't know why I'm talking about it. Yeah, but yeah, as far as, but yeah, that's all I want to show you, the food and then my cats, being in that cat catio. Every day I'm hanging out with those cats out there. I want to get them a little bit of fresh air every day, some sunshine. Maybe I'll put one of them in my cat backpack and go on over, and then go on over to the park or something. So, yeah, just I'm doing whatever I can just to distract myself from all this. You haven't learned your lesson yet. Da, 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 da. Stream must be so boring. It's me rambling on. I don't know. I've been talking. This one isn't as bad as like the gaming ones because I've actually been talking. So, see, this is like very this origami. It's very menial work. So I can talk while I'm doing it. I don't have to focus on anything. So. Oh, jeez. But yeah, I was just going off today about this society, my working. I actually had a conversation topic planned. I wrote it on a post-it note. Yeah, I wrote a conversation topic on a post-it note. Conversation topic, video topic. I guess I'm not having a conversation with anyone. I'm just talking to myself on here. But I had a topic. I was going to rant about more things, but I'll probably save it for tomorrow. I'm probably going to stop. I won't stop streaming. I'll read the book on here. It's a pile of books over there. Not the one I'm going to read is over there, but I'm still planning to. Yeah, after this origami, I'll read the book. I never uploaded my failed reading of where like it was the webcam showing it. So I'll do that right now, just to save time, and then the next reading will be part 2. Um, I'll do part 1 right now, and then I might do. What's today, Thursday? I don't know. I'll pre-record them, just so that like in case I'm not here, I can just upload, or I can just make the video public, and then if you guys want a stream at the scheduled time, then that video will be there for you guys to watch. So that'll be good. I probably won't. Like, I'll probably read today and tomorrow on stream. Maybe Friday. I'll do it live like this, but then for the rest of them, I'll probably pre-record it. So just in case I don't wake up and there's other things going on, then, you know, that way it's not all out of order. That's why that way, you know, I'm not like, oh, I recorded chapters, 1 through 6, right? But then next week I start reading chapter 7 and no one's watched chapters 1 through 6, but they still tune into my live stream. That'd be kind of silly. Right, so I'll probably make those the reading sessions, like I'll probably make those like privately, and then I'll upload them. So they won't be live like this, or like you guys won't be watching it like at the same exact time. It'll still be like this where it's like unedited and whatnot. So, because it's just going to be me recording myself reading for like 2 hours. For an hour or whatever. But yeah. It'll be great. So I made my goal like 12 because I can do 12 a day for 4 days, right? And finish. I ended up doing like 16. This will be number 16. 17 including the starter guide, but I'm not really counting him. Just 16 in a row, right? I used to do this with homework. I would be like, okay, I have a 3-page essay, right, due on Friday. So I'll do 1 page a day. It'll be Monday, so I'll do 1 page a day, and then I'll be done, by Wednesday, and that'll be good. And then I won't do it Monday. Like, I won't do anything. I'm like, okay, I still got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I can do 2 pages a day, and then I won't do anything Tuesday. And then now it's Wednesday. I'm like, okay, let's do it Friday. I'll do 2 pages I'll do 1.5 pages today and 1.5 pages tomorrow, and I'll be 3 pages, right? And then I'll do like the first paragraph on Wednesday night. And then Thursday we'll roll around and I'll be like, okay, now we're going to count the hours, right? We're going to do 1 hour. We're going to do like, 5 o'clock. I'll do, I type 60 words a minute. And so I'll get a page done I'll get a page done like in an hour, and then by like 8 o'clock I'll be done because that'll be 3 pages, and then like I'll hit writer. I'll dedicate it this Thursday afternoon, and then I'll get writer's block. I'll write another paragraph and I'll get writer's block, right? Or like I'll plan out the whole essay, and I'll plan out the whole essay, and it'll be like, and and then like it'll take me like a half an hour to plan it, right? And so now it's 5:30. I haven't written anything, but I know it's right now. And I can just speed through it. But then like the first paragraph I get, or like the second paragraph, I get like a writer's block. I don't know how to flesh this out. I don't know what to do, or I don't know how to word this specific thing. And so I'm like, shoot. And then I'm sitting there for like a half an hour, and I'm like spacing out. And then now it's 6 o'clock. I haven't done anything, or there's no words on the paper, right? And I'm like, shoot. So then I'll just jump to page 2. I'll be like, okay, screw it. I'll just write in the middle of it or whatever, right? And then the whole cycle repeats, and then it's like 2 a.m, and I've written like maybe like 6 sentences. And I'm so tired. And 6 sentences in a 3-page essay is not good. So then I'll just be like, F it, and then I'll just write down random things, and then it'll end up being 2 pages, and then like half a paragraph into page 3, and I'll be like, good enough, and then I'll go to sleep. It's like 4 a.m. So that's what like every essay was like for me. So ridiculous, so stressful. I hate it. And so then I hated that pressure. And so now like I like the working world, because it's like, okay, I go to my shift, and then I come home, and I'm home, right? There's no homework at a job, right? I'm not taking the work home, right? I was there for 6 hours. I'm fine. I'm golden, right? It's whatever, right? So I don't need anything else. God, high school sucks. The amount of work. The thing is, because I was in honors classes too, for the most part. So yeah. But, excuse me. Man, my voice is getting really hoarse. Hoarse. Yeah, I finished my cranes for today. See, my goal was 12 to do today, and I made 16, which means if I make 16 tomorrow and 16 on Wednesday, on Friday, 16 times 3 is 48. So that'll be 48. Done. My goal is 50, so 48. And then I got Mr. 49 here. It's the purple one. And then just make one more for number 50. It's whatever. So, yeah. Yeah. I think I'll just sit here a while. I don't know what to do. The stream's still going. I want to read the book, but it's going to be another like hour of me talking. So. I guess I could get my intro to the book. That was like 10 minutes or so on my We lost. It's not over there. I gotta stop pointing over there. It's right here. I got a lot of books. I want to start reading like fantasy books and stuff, but it's water. I still have this water bottle that one of my students' moms gifted to me, and then other students of mine brought in stickers, and then like they had me pick stickers to put on here, and then I did it. You see, I got a little. This quality. Oh, this sucks. I got a little macaroon. I got like Superman, Vulcan, the brand, Batman over here. I have I don't know what this is. Some company, some like one of those Japanese like kawaii companies or whatever. I don't know. I got this is an avocado. You can tell like this is where I've been holding the water bottle because it's all like whited out and stuff. Got a triple ice sticker. I was like, my student was like, "Here, have a sticker." And he's a triple A sticker. It's like I don't drive. I don't drive. So it was there. Flex, I think it's another clothing company. I don't know. Yeah, and then this thing it's durable. It's made of metal, so there are like scuff marks on the top here, and then it's dented on the bottom here. Now you might be thinking, how does a metal bottle get dented, right? I put it on the top of the car when I was leaving work, and then we drove away, and and I didn't realize it was on the top of the car. So then we're like halfway down the street, and then just hear like a thunk thunk like on the ground, and we're thinking like, what's that? And I'm like, shoot, that was my water bottle because it was like on the hood of the car and then on the street. So I had to pull over and I had to run into the street when there were no cars in order to get this water bottle because this thing is like thick enough to where like if it's on a side, right, and a car runs over it, then it's gonna affect the car, right? It's like running over a really big rock. So it was a street hazard. So I got it quickly. Luckily, there were no cars, but yeah, that's when it fell off the car going like 30 miles an hour. You know, it dents a little bit. So it's amazing that it only dented this much, and just little scuffs and stuff on it. It's amazing that it only dented this much, and it wasn't and that just didn't completely get destroyed, right? So this is durable, right? So this is very nice. This is a very nice gift. It was like a Christmas gift, I think, from the student's mom. So she was a tough student. So the mom was always appreciative of like everything that we did over there. So my coworkers got something else from her, right? They're girls, so they got something else. Or they're women, I guess. They're older than me. But yeah. But yeah, this water bottle is very nice. So it's a nice little Christmas gift. It's over a year ago. Now I think about it, because this was before whole pandemic happened. I can't believe I said that I was going to drink because my throat was sore, and then instead of drinking, I talked more. So. Very counterintuitive. But yeah, anyway, story time. So this book is called, I'm just going to keep the webcam here just because I don't feel like moving it. I'd have to move all these cranes and stuff, and I'm not really up for that. So, yeah, story time. So this book is called Riders of the Purple Sage, right? You think it's Utah in 1871. So you think about like the 1800s, you think about like cowboys, you think about like pistol whipping and stuff, right? Like cowboys, the old west and whatnot. But then that's out in like California, Nevada area, right? Um, but then you think about but then you think about like what should I call it? But then you think about Utah, right? Utah has got like the Mormon community or whatever. So very religious, but like very like strict community or whatever, right? These are the kind of people who like practiced polygamy, right? The whole like polygamy being like a guy can marry like multiple women and stuff like that. That kind of culture. It's the society hierarchy, all that, social classes, all that sort of stuff. So we're like the priest of the church, like the head of the church is like the most powerful person, like that kind of society, right? So basically, this isn't something. So it's that kind of world. This isn't something I would normally read. Um, this is more of like what should I call it? Let's go back here. The greatest Western writer of the 21st century. I'm forgetting American frontier. What was it saying? Oh yeah, this isn't normally something that I would read. Um, Normally I'm into like fantasy, like like castles and kings and queens and magic, and, wizards and warriors and swords and shields and magic wands and staffs and that kind of thing. I love that kind of thing. I don't know why. It's escapism for me. It's definitely like it's different than our own world. So that's what I like that. Um Definitely, it's fascinating, and it's like you could do anything with that sort of thing. You could have whatever magic you want. You could have whatever like society and like people that you want and whatnot. And it's fantasy. High fantasy is just such a good genre. I love it. I absolutely love it. Every fantasy book I read is just it just pulls me in. But unfortunately, like with anime, fantasy is very watered down. It's like they just use the fantasy setting as a backdrop in order to tell like some stupid story. And the stories are pretty stupid, so like isekais and all that. So I haven't been able to find really good fantasies like in that sort of aspect. I found a couple anime that are really good high fantasies, but that's about it. That's why like my story, like I'm writing a book. Um, that's why my story is like high fantasy, but it's in the more traditional sense of kings, like kings and queens and magic and magic powers and whatnot. So it's like it's a world that you want to go. Fantasy is like you want to have an adventure. Like it's a world where you want to have an adventure, and so a fantasy book should be, should like say you want an adventure or whatever, right? But a lot of the stories that come out nowadays are like everything takes place in like the same area or whatever, right? It's in the same it's in the same city or whatever, right? And the fact that it is a fantasy world plays some part, but it's not too big of a part into the actual stories. That's like you didn't need to. It's like if you didn't need to put if you could put this story in a different area in a different setting in a different time period and still have it work, then that's not the kind of fantasy that I want, right? I want a fantasy where like I go on an adventure, right? Where it's just this new world and you're going on an adventure to discover what the world is about. And you want the characters to be able to like overcome challenges and discover things, and it's that sense of discovery, right? It's like when you travel to a new country and it's like everything's different. It's like that sense of discovery, right? That's why I like fantasy. And that's what I'm trying to gear, like that's what I want to gear like my story towards, is sort of like the fantasy setting, but being able to go on an adventure, so that's what I'm trying to accomplish. I'm still not a good story writer, but it's whatever. So this, the whole point is that this isn't really the kind of book that I would seek out, but it seemed interesting. I got gifted a bunch of books, so um, I got gifted a bunch of books, so I got 5 books gifted to me in the mail. So this seemed the most interesting out of all of them. So I'm gonna introduce the book to you guys. It's Zane Grey's Riders of the Purple Sage. So basically, I think sage is like a kind of plant or something. It's from what I gather, because I'm rereading these first 2 chapters because I read it once and then the stream screwed up, or the mic screwed up. But yeah, so I guess sage is like the kind of grass that they have or something. Like the area they say like, oh, I'll be in the sage or whatever, right? And it's like a grassy plains, I guess, but it's like really wide open and stuff. It's basically in the environment, right? It's like if they said riders of the forest, right? It would be similar to that. So riders of the purple sage. Purple sage is like a plant, or like riders of the grass, right? Like they're just riding on grass all the time, whatever, right? So naturey. You gotta think Utah. Utah is very like country out there, very um like trees and hills and stuff like that. So very like wilderness. And of course, this is in the 1800s when there wasn't really like machines and stuff like that. So yeah, so basically, this is countryside, Utah, 1800s, so like Wild West sort of environment. You know, cowboys, right, on riding horses with their cowboy hats and a gun at their side, right? So, but very lawless land. We're talking Utah, where it's like Mormon society, right? Mormons, very religious, very like strict rules. Women back then didn't have any rights. They couldn't really own land. They couldn't really, their women's sole purpose back then was to marry a guy. And then the guy did everything, and then she was the partner or whatever. So like very little women's rights back then. So complete contrast to like today's society, because today's society is like, oh, women are all independent and they can be just as good as a man or better or whatever, right? Which is fine. That's completely fine, and you can do that if you want. But it's like I don't know. I'm gonna get a rant on society right now, because women's independence and people's independence in general, that's completely fine. But it's to the point now to where like everyone is so actively denying the old society that you're forced to be independent. You're expected to be like this sort. You got to be independent. You can't rely on anyone else. You can't, this or that or whatever. You can socialize with people, but you can't live your life for another person, or you can't live your life with another person, right? It's this whole like contrast of like you have to be independent, and it's ridiculous because not everyone is built that way. If you want to be completely independent, that's on you, right? I'm sure that 95% of society, of human beings, want to be independent. That's completely fine. They have that choice. Build a society around that. But For the rest of us, don't, right? For the rest of us, there needs to be a section of society that says, okay, you can rely on other people. You can, you can depend on other people or whatever. And if you can make it work out, then you can make it work out, right? That's the whole point, right? We have the freedom of choice, but America is about the freedom of choice and about being able to chase our dreams. And that's literally what everyone tells you. Do what you want, right? Do what you want. Don't let anyone tell you no. And then you go and say, I don't want to be independent. And they're like, no, you have to be independent. No, you have to. You have to. It's not healthy to not be independent, right? It's like, you just told me to do what I want, right? You just told me that I could do what I want. I could live my life the way that I want. And they're like, yeah, but you have to do it independently. No, like that doesn't make any sense. So it's fucking, I hate it. It's so stupid. I don't know. That's just my opinion, right? My opinion sucks. So, or it's just the opinion of one person. But yeah, whatever. I'm gonna turn the light on here. Ugh. Guys. Turn the light on for this one. The lighting got worse. Oh my gosh. Oh well. Mm. Yeah, so anyway, that's just my opinion. Don't take it seriously. I'm I'm just one man. But yeah, I was gonna read Riders of the Purple Sage. So basically, right, you think about Wild West, Utah, right? Very heavy like Mormon society sort of and whatnot. So yeah, I'll read the synopsis on the back. Um, the first two chapters basically cover the synopsis essentially. Cottonwoods, Utah, 1871. A woman stands accused, a man sentenced to whipping. In this travesty of small town justice rides the one man the town elders fear. His name is Lassiter, a notorious gunman who's come to avenge his sister's death. It doesn't take Lassiter long to see that this once peaceful Mormon community is controlled by the corrupted Deacon Toll, a powerful elder who's trying to take the woman's land by forcing her to marry him, branding her foreman as a dangerous outsider. Lassiter vows to help them. But when the ranch is attacked by horse thieves, cattle rustlers, and a mysterious masked rider, he realizes they're up against something bigger, more brutal than the land itself. In this battle, no man rides alone. Man to man, hunter to hunted, to the death. So basically, there's a woman who owns like the majority of the land or whatever. She's the landlord. And obviously, right, in a society where women aren't supposed to do anything, um, she's like looked down upon because she's not like fulfilling her role. and she's not married, but she's basically she likes this one guy. Um, the Deacon Toll is like the priest or whatever, and so he's very powerful. He's like the top of society because he's a leader of the church, right? And this whole village is like the church. This whole village like respects the church and whatnot. So the the priest guy Tull is trying to marry the landlady who owns the land. She owns the spring there, so you obviously think like that's their water source, right? So so she has the land. He wants the land by marrying her, and he doesn't want her getting close to like other men, right? Because he wants to marry her, but he's like this old guy, and she's like young and whatnot, probably like in her 30s. And so he's sentencing she likes another guy, and so this this priest guy can basically just say, oh, this guy did a bad thing, let's enact a punishment, right? So he's like a tyrant, right? Like a king. So basically the priest guy is saying that the dude that the woman likes is bad, and so therefore he should get exiled. He should get whipped or whatever, right? And so that's where the story starts. So basically there's this whole power dynamic. He's very powerful, the priest guy is, whose name is Tull. And that's basically what's happening in the beginning. So just to give you a little preface of everything so that I don't have to stop reading to explain things, because that's what I did on my last stream is I read something and I explained it. It wasn't tedious necessarily. It's just I don't want to do it twice. So I'll just read from start to finish. Yeah. So yeah. I'll read and then I'll stop streaming. So Lassiter. A sharp clip crop of iron-shod hooves deadened and died away, and clouds of yellow dust drifted from under the cottonwoods out over the sage. Jane Witherstein gazed down the white-purple slope with dreamy and troubled eyes. A rider had just left her, and it was his message that held her thoughtful and almost sad, awaiting the churchmen who were coming to resent and attack her right to befriend a Gentile. Oh yeah, by the way, some of the sentences in this don't make sense. It's a very like old way of like talking, so the grammar is kind of all over the place sometimes. So when was this published? (1912). Okay, so you imagine like 100 years ago when people were 1912, really? Okay, so this book takes place like just 50 years before it was, or 40 years before it was actually written. So this could be like a secondhand account of like the times or whatever. So it's pretty cool. To befriend a Gentile. She wondered if the unrest and strife that had lately come to the little village of Cottonwoods was to involve her. And then she sighed, remembering that her father had founded this remotest border settlement of southern Utah, and that he had left it to her. She owned all the ground and many of the cottages. Witherstein House was hers, and the great ranch with its thousands of cattle and the swiftest horses of the sage. To her belonged Amber Spring, the water which gave venture and beauty to the village and made living possible on that wild purple upland waste. She could not escape being involved by whatever befell Cottonwoods. That year, 1871, had marked a change which had been gradually coming in the lives of the peace-loving Mormons of the border. Glaze, Stonebridge, Sterling, Villages to the north had risen against the invasion of Gentile settlers and the forays of rustlers. There had been opposition to the one and fighting with the other, and now Cottonwoods had begun to wake and bestir itself and grow hard. Jane prayed that the tranquility and sweetness of her life would not be permanently disrupted. She meant to do so much more for her people than she had done. She wanted to sleep quiet. She wanted the sleepy, quiet, pastoral days to last always. Trouble between the Mormons and the Gentiles of the community would make her unhappy. She was Mormon born, and she was a friend to poor and unfortunate Gentiles. She wished only to go on doing good and being happy. And she thought of what that great ranch meant to her. She loved it all: the grove of the cottonwoods, the old stone house, the amber-tinted water, and the droves of shaggy, dusty horses and mustangs, the sleek, clean-limbed, blooded racers, and the browsing herds of cattle, and the lean, sun-browed riders of the sage. Okay, so basically another thing is that Gentiles are the outcasts of society, right? They're the people who don't worship the Mormon religion. So obviously in a very religious society, they're going to be outcasts or whatever, right? So they're kind of looked down upon, kind of like homeless people here, or kind of like homeless people in our society, right? You know, how dare you not be a part of society, that sort of thing. So, but this woman just looks at them as like unfortunate, and she tries to help them. So the dude who's being accused, the dude who she likes or whatever, who's being punished for liking her or for her liking him, is a Gentile as well. So while she waited there, she forgot the prospect of untoward change. The bray of a lazy burro broke the afternoon quiet, and it was comfortingly suggestive of the drowsy farmyard and the open corrals and the green alfalfa fields. Her clear sight intensified the purple sage slope as it rolled before her. Low swells of prairie-like ground sloped up to the west. Dark, lonely cedar trees, few and far between, stood out strikingly, and at long distances, ruins of red rocks. Farther on, up the gradual slope, rose a broken wall, a huge monument, looming dark purple and stretching its solitary, mystic way, a wavering line that faded to the north. Here to the westward was the light and color and beauty. Northward the slope descended to a dim line of canyons, which rose and an upflinging of the earth, not mountainous, but a vast heave of purple uplands, with ribbed and fan-shaped walls, castle-crowned cliffs, and gray escarpments. Over it all crept the lengthening, waving afternoon shadows. The rapid beef of... By the way, I don't normally pay attention. I'll read it, but I won't pay attention to like the scenery and stuff in books. There's a very long paragraph of the surroundings. It's not really important either. So the rapid beating of hoofs recalled Jane Withersteen to the question at hand. A group of riders cantered up the lane, dismounted, and threw their bridles. They were 7 in number, and Tull, the leader, a tall, dark man, was an elder of Jane's church. The rapid beat of hooves recalled Jane Withersteen to the question at hand. A group of riders cantered up the lane, dismounted, and threw their bridles. They were 7 in number, and Tull the leader, a tall, dark man, was an elder at Jane's church. Did you get my message? He asked curtly. Yes, replied Jane. I sent word I'd give that rider Venters half an hour to come down to the village. He didn't come. He knows nothing of it, said Jane. I didn't tell him. I've been waiting here for you. Where is Venters? I left him in the courtyard. Here, Jerry, called Tull, turning to his men. Take the gang and fetch Venters out here if you have to rope him. The dusty-booted and long-spurred riders clanked noisily into the grove of cottonwoods and disappeared into the shade. Elder Tull, what do you mean by this? Demanded Jane. If you must arrest Venters, you might have the courtesy to wait till he leaves my home. And if you do arrest him, it will be adding insult to injury. It's absurd to accuse Venters of being mixed up in that shooting fray in the village last night. He was with me at the time. Besides, he let me take charge of his guns. You're only using this as a pretext. What do you mean to do to Venters? I'll tell you presently, replied Tull. But first tell me why you defend this worthless rider. Worthless! Exclaimed Jane indignantly. He's nothing of the kind. He's the best rider I've ever had. There's not a reason why I shouldn't champion him, and every reason why I should. It's no little shame to me, Elder Tull, that through my friendship he has roused the enmity of my people and become an outcast. Besides, I owe him eternal gratitude for saving the life of little Fay. I've heard of your love for Fay Larkin, and that you intend to adopt her. But, Jane Withersteen, the child is a Gentile. Yes, but Elder, I don't love the Mormon children any less because I love a Gentile child. I shall adopt Fay if her mother will give her to me. I'm not so much against that. You can give the child Mormon teaching, said Tull, but I'm sick of seeing these fellow Venters hang around you. I'm going to put a stop to it. You've so much love to throw away on these beggars of Gentiles that I've an idea you might love Venters. Tully spoke with the arrogance of a Mormon whose power could not be brooked, and with the passion of a man in whom jealousy had kindled a consuming flame. Maybe I do love him, said Jane. She felt both fear and anger stir in her heart. I never thought of that. Poor fellow, he certainly needs someone to love him. This will be a bad day for Venters unless you deny that, returned Tull grimly. Tull's men appeared under the cottonwoods and led a young man out into the lane. His ragged clothes were that of an outcast, but he stood tall and straight, his wide shoulders flung back, with the muscles of his bound arms rippling and a blue flame of defiance in the gaze he bent on Tull. Haha, so the guy Venters is getting in trouble because the girl likes him. And society is saying, girl, you're not supposed to like him. And he's getting in trouble for it. I can relate. For the first time, Jane Withersteen felt Venters' real spirit. She wondered if she would love this splendid youth. Then her emotion cooled to the sobering sense of the issue at stake. Venters, will you leave Cottonwoods at once and forever? Asked Tull tensely. Why? Rejoiced the rider. Because I order it. Venters laughed in cool disdain. The red leaped to Tull's dark cheek. If you don't go, it means your ruin, he said sharply. If you don't go, it means your ruin, he said sharply. Ruin? Exclaimed Venters passionately. Haven't you already ruined me? What do you call ruin? A year ago, I was a rider. I had horses and cattle of my own. I had a good name in Cottonwoods. And now when I come into the village and to see this woman, you set your men on me. You hound me. You trail me as if I were a rustler. I've no more to lose except my life. Will you leave Utah? Oh, I know, went on Venters tauntingly. It galls you. The idea of beautiful Jane Withersteen being friendly to a poor Gentile. You want her all yourself. You're a wiving Mormon. You have use for her, and Withersteen House and Amber Spring and 7,000 head of cattle. Tull's hard jaw protruded, and rioting blood corded the veins of his neck. Once more, will you go? No. Then I'll have you whipped within an inch of your life, replied Tull harshly. I'll turn you out in the sage, and if you ever come back, you'll get worse. Venter's agitated face grew coldly set, and the bronze changed to gray. Jane impulsively stepped forward. "Oh, Elder Toll," she cried, "you won't do that." Toll lifted a shaking finger towards her. "That'll do from you. Understand, you'll not be allowed to hold this boy to a friendship that's offensive to your bishop. Jane Witherstein, your father left you wealth and power. It has turned your head. You haven't yet come to see the place of Mormon woman. We reasoned with you, borne with you. We patiently waited. We've let you have your fling, which is more than I ever saw granted to a Mormon woman. But you haven't come to your senses. Now, once and for all, you can't have any further friendship with Venters. He's going to be whipped, and he's got to leave Utah." "Oh, don't whip him. It would be dastardly," implored Jane, with slow certainty of her failing courage. Tull always blunted her spirit, and she grew conscious that she had feigned a boldness which she did not possess. He loomed up now in different guise, not as a jealous suitor, but embodying the mysterious despotism she had known from childhood, the power of her creed. "Venters, will you take your whipping here, or would you rather go out in the sage?" asked Tull. He smiled a flintly smile that was more than human, yet seemed to give out of its dark aloofness a gleam of righteousness. "I'll take it here if I must," said Venters. "But by God, Tull, you'd better kill me outright. That'll be a dear whipping for you and your praying Mormons. You'll make me another Lassiter." The strange glow, the austere light which radiated from Tull's face, might have been a holy joy at the spiritual conception of exalted duty, but there was something more in him, barely hidden, a something personal and sinister, a deep of himself, an engulfing abyss. As his religious mood was fanatical and inexorable, so would his physical hate to be merciless. "Elder, I repent my words," Jane faltered. The religion in her, the long habit of obedience, of humility, as well as agony of fear, spoke in her voice. "Spare the boy," she whispered. "You can't save him now," replied Tull, stridently. Her head was bowing to the inevitable. She was grasping the truth, when suddenly there came, an inward constriction, a hardening of gentle forces within her breast. Like a steel bar it was, stiffening all that had been soft and weak in her. She felt a birth in her of something new and unintelligible. Once more her stained gaze sought the sage slopes. Jane Witherstein loved that wild and purple wilderness. In times of sorrow it had been her strength. In happiness its beauty was her continual delight. In her extremities she found herself murmuring, "Whence cometh my help?" It was a prayer, as if forth from those lonely purple reaches and walls of red and clefts of blue might ride a fearless man, neither creed bound nor creed mad, who would hold up a restraining hand in the faces of her ruthless people. The restless movements of Tull's men suddenly quieted down. Then followed a low whisper, a rustle, a sharp exclamation. "Look," said one, pointing to the west. "A rider!" Jane Witherstein wheeled and saw a horseman, silhouetted against the western sky, come riding out of the sage. He had ridden down from the left, in the golden glare of the sun, and had been unobserved till close at hand. An answer to her prayer. "Do you know him? Does anyone know him?" questioned Tull hurriedly. His men looked and looked, and one by one shook their heads. "He's come from far," said one. That's a fine hoss," said another. "A strange rider." "Huh, he wears black leather," added a fourth. With a wave of his hand, enjoining silence, Tull stepped forward in such a way that he concealed Venters. The rider reined in his mount, and with a lithe forward slipping action, appeared to reach the ground in one long step. It was a peculiar movement in its quickness, and inasmuch that while performing it, the riders did not swerve in the slightest from a square front to the group before him. "Look," hoarsely whispered one of Tull's companions. "He packs 2 black-butted guns. Look down. They're hard to see, black agin them black chaps." "A gunman," whispered another. "Fellers, careful now about moving your hands." The stranger's slow approach might have been a mere leisurely manner of gait, or the cramped short steps of a rider unused to walking. Yet, as well, it could have been the guarded advances of one who took no chances with men. "Hello, stranger," called Tull. No welcome was in this greeting, only gruff curiosity. The rider responded with a curt nod. The wide brim of a black sombrero cast a dark shade over his face. For a moment, he closely regarded Tull and his comrades, and then, halting to his slow walk, he seemed to relax. "Evening, ma'am," he said to Jane, and removed his sombrero with quaint grace. Jane, greeting him, looked up into the face that she trusted instinctively, and which riveted her attention. It had all the characteristics of the range riders: the leanness, the red burn of the sun, and the set changelessness that came from years of silence and solitude. But it was not these which held her, rather the intensity of his gaze, a strained weariness, a piercing wistfulness of keen, gray sight, as if the man was forever looking for that which he never found. Jane's subtle woman intuition, even in that brief instant, felt a sadness, a hungering, a secret. "Jane Witherstein, ma'am?" he inquired. "Yes," she replied. "The water here is yours?" "Yes." "May I water my horse?" "Certainly. There's the trough." "But maybe if you knew who I was." He hesitated, with his glance on the listening men. "Maybe you wouldn't let me water him, though I ain't asking for none for myself." "Stranger, it does not matter who you are. Water your horse, and if you are thirsty and hungry, come into my house." "Thanks, ma'am. I can't accept for myself, but for my tired horse." Trampling of hooves interrupted the riders. More restless movements on the part of Tull's men broke up the little circle, exposing the prisoner Venters. "Maybe I've kind of hindered something, for a few moments, perhaps?" inquired the rider. "Yes," replied Jane Witherstein, with a throb in her voice. She felt the drawing power of his eyes, and then she saw him look at the bound Venters, and at the men who held him, and at their leader. "In this here country, all rustlers and thieves and cutthroats and gun throwers and all round no good men just happen to be Gentiles. Ma'am, which one of those no good class does that young feller belong to?" "He belongs to none of them. He's an honest boy." "You know that, ma'am?" "Yes." "Yes." "Then what has he done to get tied up in that way?" His clear and distinct question, meant for Tull as well as for Jane Witherstein, stilled the restlessness and brought a momentary silence. "Ask him," replied Jane, her voice rising higher. The rider stepped away from her, moving out with the same slow, measured stride in which he had approached, and the fact that his action placed her wholly to one side, and him no nearer to Tull and his men, had a penetrating significance. "Young feller, speak up," he said to Venters. "Here, stranger, this is none of your mix," began Tull. "Don't try any interference. You've been asked to drink and eat. That's more than you'd have gotten in any other village on the Utah border. Water your horse and be on your way." "Easy, easy. I ain't interfering yet," replied the rider. The tone of his voice had undergone a change. A different man had spoken. Where in addressing Jane he had been mild and gentle, now, with his first speech to Tull, he was dry, cool, biting. "I've just stumbled onto a queer deal. 7 Mormons all packing guns, and a Gentile tied up with a rope, and a woman who swears by his honesty. Queer, ain't that?" "Queer or not, it's none of your business," retorted Tull. "Where I was raised, a woman's word was law. I ain't quite outgrown that yet." Tull fumed between amaze and anger. "Meddler, we have a law here something different from a woman's whim. Mormon law. Take care you don't transgress it." "To hell with your Mormon law." The deliberate speech marked the rider's further change, this time from kindly interest to an awakening menace. It produced a transformation in Tull and his companions. The leader gasped and staggered backward at a blasphemous affront to an institution he held most sacred. The man, Jerry, holding the horses, dropped the bridles and froze in his tracks. Like posts, the other men stood, watchful eyes, arms hanging rigid, all waiting. Speak up now, young man. What have you done to be roped that way? It's a damn outrage, burst out Venters. I've done no wrong. I offended this Mormon elder by being a friend to that woman. Ma'am, is it true what he says? Asked the writer Jane. Asked the writer of Jane, but his quiveringly alert eyes never left the little knot of quiet men. True. Yes, perfectly true, she answered. Well, young man, seems to me that being a friend to such a woman would be what you wouldn't want to help and couldn't help. What's to be done to you for it? They intend to whip me. You know what that means in Utah? I reckon, replied the writer slowly, with his gray glance cold on the Mormons, with the restive bit champing of the horses, with Jane failing to repress her mounting agitation, with Venters standing pale and still. The tension of the moment tightened. Tull broke the spell with a laugh without mirth, a laugh that was only a sound betraying fear. Come on, men, he called. Jane Withersteen turned again to the writer. Stranger, can you do nothing to save Venters? Ma'am, you ask me to save him from your own people? Ask you, I beg of you. But you don't dream who you're asking. Oh, sir, I pray you save him. These are Mormons, and at any cost, save him, for I care for him. Tull snarled. You love-sick fool. Tell your secrets. There'll be a way to teach you what you never learned. Come, men, out of here. Mormon, the young man stays, said the writer. Like a shot, his voice halted Tull. What? He stays. Who will keep him? He's my prisoner, cried Tull hotly. Stranger, I tell you, don't mix here. You've meddled enough. Go your way now, or listen. He stays. Absolute certainty, beyond any shadow of doubt, breathed in the writer's low voice. Who are you? We are 7 here. The writer dropped his sombrero and made a rapid movement, singular in that it left him somewhat crouched, arms bent and stiff, with the big black gun sheath swung round to the fore. Lassiter! It was Venters' wondering, thrilling cry that bridged the faithful connection between the writer's singular position and the dreaded name. Tull put out a groping hand. The life of his eyes dulled to the gloom with which men of his fear saw the approach of death. But death, while it hovered over him, did not descend, for the rider waited for the twitching fingers, the downward flash of hands that did not come. Tull, gathering himself together, turned to the horses, attended by his pale comrades. That was chapter 1. So Mr. Lassiter there came up and saved the dude in just in the nick of time. Oh boy, oh boy. That's great. So he gets saved. So basically, Lassiter showed them that he was like a real gunman and he was serious about because he back in the Wild West, it was pistol whipping, right? It was you have the gun on your side, but that it was in like a black like a belt pouch or whatever, right? You whip it out and it whips, what you want to call it? It was, guns are equal in that, it's, they can kill people, obviously, but it was people's skill back then in like whipping out the pistol and like being able to shoot first or whatever, right? So this one guy could have killed all of them. Simply with his skill, with the quickness of his draw. So yeah. That's what it was. So it is already 6 o'clock. That was a good first chapter. I think I'll stop there for now. So I think I'll stop there for now. Definitely. It's a good chapter. On my little live stream thing, I read on the video that didn't get recorded properly. I read 2 chapters. So, but I think I'll stop it at 1 chapter today. Just because. And then I will continue on next time. So there are, I think, 23 chapters. So I was planning on reading 2, but I'm going to stop at 1. There's a nice intro chapter, right? This sets up the plot. The guy gets saved by Lassiter, and they introduce his character. He's very like powerful. I like characters that are powerful, or main characters who are like really like more powerful than the other people, and they're powerful, but they're like still on the losing side. They're the underdog, and so they have to come back up and win or whatever. So that's always nice. I like those kind of stories, and Lassiter definitely does show his power or whatever, with just because those guys could have gotten killed if they tried to like defy him or whatever. So, yeah. I'm gonna head off. I hope everyone has a good day, and I will see you all next time. For now, this has been Shrimp Scampi Gaming, signing off. Ayuyu, bye-bye. Still like that catchphrase. Bye-bye. End stream is, my little stand is blocking the end stream button, so that's fine. Boom. Boom. Bye-bye.